Good evening, IEPPV. My name is Brad Toms. I am the chair for the IEPPV image competition. And tonight I'd like to introduce our three judges. And our first judge is Jim Doyle. Jim, could you say a few words for us, please?
Evening. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. And for those of you who know me, bear with me. I'm past president of PPOC and PPC, and I'm an architectural photographer in Southern California. Been doing it for more years than I care to think about, but it's fun. I still enjoy it.
Thank you so much, Jim. And our second judge is John Powers. John, thank you very much for helping us out tonight. And if you could just introduce yourself and say a few words.
Good evening. It's great to be here as well. I think a number of people know me. I'm the vice president for PPLAC and also vice president for ASP. It's great to be here this evening.
And our third judge is Lisa Craig. Lisa, thank you again for helping us out tonight. And if you could just introduce yourself and say a few words.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. I am Lisa Craig. I am a new master photographer. I just earned my master's. And I am out of Denver, Colorado. I primarily photograph portraiture of all different types, some commercial photography, and landscapes and macros for fun.
Thank you very much. And with that, we have 54 images tonight.
Yes.
54 images. And we will go ahead and get started with our first category, and I'll let Kim introduce that.
So our first category, our first division we're going to do tonight is our master division. The first category in the master division is the master illustrative division. And our first image is precision. Precision. Score is 85. Jim.
Sorry, I unmute. I scored it an 85 also. I think this is a great image. I love the framing, obviously, the matting is extremely well done. That's hard to do. And to make this look like it's kind of standing off from it, that's very well done. As far as the image is concerned, I like at first, I kind of had a little bit of a problem with the position of the planes, but boy, I'll tell you what, after studying it, it really is well done. The third plane is a little off, but other than that, this is an extremely good capture. And I've tried to photograph the Thunderbirds, so I'm not Thunderbirds, but the Blue Angels. But this is very well done. I scored an 85.
Thank you. That was the only image we had in our master illustrative category. So moving on to the master landscape category, our first image is a slow start to the day. Slow start to the day.
Did you say this was a master level?
Yes, it's in the master division and it's in the landscape category.
Okay, thank you.
Score is an 80. Lisa, if you could please comment.
Yeah, I mean, this is really a beautiful image for sure. It's just a nice scene. I felt a little bit like the sun area is a little hot, although I do love the rays. The sun rays always are a favorite of mine. I think the other thing is just the position of the boat is so dead center that it just doesn't make me move around in the image. So that's why I scored it the 78.
Thank you. Moving on, our next image, still in the master landscape category, is perspective. Perspective. Score is an 81. John,
I scored this an 82. I really enjoyed this image. I love the perspective of it. I was looking at it and I'm going, now, wait a minute, what am I looking at here? It took a moment, but once my eyes settled in and figured out the topography and everything, it really drew me in. I love how the leading line just goes right through the center diagonally, the river from right to left or left to right. Well placed, well balanced, great color, great composition. The framing, the presentation on it is very simple. So I like that as well. So as I said, gave it a score of an 82, certainly worthy of a merit.
thank you. Still in the master landscape category, we have spring blooms. Spring blooms. Score is an 80. Jim,
Scored it at 82. I like it. It feels good. Feels like I can put myself in that place, and it's peaceful. Stroke's a little heavy. I think maybe just a slightly lighter stroke and maybe take it off the edge of the image may help a little bit. But the other thing that I would comment about is I would bring down the golden color, the yellow on the side of the building. I know it was shot late in the afternoon, but just bring it down a little bit. It's a little too strong relative to the color in the foreground. So that, and maybe bring the clouds up just a hair, I think that would push this way up into a higher category. It's very peaceful, very, very well done.
Can I break the rules and say something really quick?
no, absolutely.
I just want to add again, I echo everything that James said, but the one thing I was noticing that still keeps drawing my eye is on that key line. I don't know if it's an optical illusion, but it looks like it is thicker on the bottom and on the left side than it is along the top. And so what happens is my eye keeps bouncing to that. And it's like I'm trying to figure that out. So whoever the maker is, I think you could just make an adjustment on that key line and adjust that golden color in that building. And I think you've got yourself a really amazing image.
Thank you. Continuing in our master landscape category is right place, right time. Right place, right time. Score is 79. Lisa.
Well, this is a beautiful image. I love the just the lights and the the lightning, all of that, and the coloring in the sky. What held me back on making this a merit image was I think that most of the action is in that lower 2/3 of the image. And so I would crop in on that a little bit more and just make all of the sky, that part of the sky with the clouds and the lightning your focal point. And I would also probably just darken up that key line just a tiny bit because that's drawing my eye as well. Otherwise, I do love the colors in this image.
Thank you. That was the last image in our master landscape category. And we do have a review for right place, right time. Original score was a 79. If you'd like it to get a merit, please score it an 80. If you want the score to remain the same, please score it a 79. And it remains the same. Moving on into the master nature category, our first image is on target. On target. Score is an 82. John.
Wow, I love this image. I scored it an 84. I love the impact. The title works very well. Love the composition off the 1/3 as the bird is moving into the frame. Just well placed. Love the presentation. It's very nice and simple. There a little bit with the lighting there with the shadows over that right wing. The timing on this is just off a little. You'd want this image to either be all in the light or all in the shade, and the light is just kind of split right through the bird. So that's a little tricky there. But other than that, just lovely image here. Again, a score of 84.
Thank you. Continuing in the master nature category, Call of the Wild. Call of the Wild. Score is an 82. Jim.
I scored it an 83 because I think it has, I mean, it's very well done. Capture that. That's pretty, appears to be a long lens at very shallow depth of field, but that elk is tack sharp and very impressive. My suggestion to the maker would be just to tone. There needs to be a little more definition, I think, on the mountain in the background. It draws me to it because it's so out of focus. I think it needs a little more definition and maybe just a little more contrast to it so it isn't quite so blue. There's a lot of blues in that light at that point. But this is extremely well done, and I scored it an 83.
Thank you. And the final image in the master nature division or category is Owl Ballerina. Owl Ballerina. Score is 83. Lisa,
Challenge.
okay.
Uh, Yeah, I scored this in 86. I just absolutely love this image. Tack sharp all the way through. What a great title. You have that owl balancing on that with one leg. And if you just look at it like that and you go, that's kind of awkward, but that title just nails it. It's perfectly centered, great presentation. And I just love everything about this. Again, technically, it is sound. Compositionally, it's perfect. I believe this belongs in the excellent category, and therefore I scored it in 86.
Lisa, do you have any comments?
Take myself off of mute. I'm going to go along with John's enthusiasm. I mean, I love this image too. I was so captivated by the eyes, but further, like looking at this further, all those feathers are so sharp and, you know, in focus that I would come up on my score a little bit.
And your original score was?
84.
Okay. And Jim, do you have any comments?
Yes, I scored it an 80, and I think it is definitely worth the merit. A couple of comments that kept me down at 80, but I'm willing to listen to a rebuttal. The first thing that caught me is that wood just keeps drawing my eye. It's too bright. It's brighter than the owl's, or it's as bright as the owl's face, and that's where we want to focus on the body of the owl. I think that wood is a little bright, and the matting is just, yes, it's very impactful, but the owl needs to be the focus. My eye keeps going to the outer mat. Those are my comments. John, I'd love to hear your rebuttal on all that.
Sure. I have no problem with the presentation. I like the way it is. It's the light brown. It just fits with the natural colors that are surrounding it. So it frames it and tucks it in really nice for me. As far as the wood, I wanted it to be a little white like that, so that I realized that bird, it gave me strong definition exactly how that owl, what it's standing on. Because if it was darker there and muted, it's kind of like what's going on. It's definitely wood. The brightness of it brings out the grain of the wood, which gives me good definition of what's going on. And I think that the face is brighter, actually, because you have all that whiteness around the mouth and above the eyes on both parts. And I just think it's still brighter. My eyes just keep going right to those eyes. Those yellow eyes just bring you in. And the presentation just kind of circulates it and just focuses you right into that face where everything belongs. And as you look out and come back out, you see everything else that comes into play. And I think it's just well placed. So I'm going to keep my score at 86 and invite you to join me.
All right, judges, if you could rescore. And the new score is 85.
Thank you.
We are now moving into the Master Photographic Artist category. The first image is Feeding Frenzy. Feeding Frenzy.
What was the category again?
Master Photographic Artist.
Okay.
Score is 87. Jim, if I could get you to comment on this one, please.
I scored this a 90. This is very well done. I'm at a loss as to what, I mean, it's beautiful, the harmony, I mean, I could see this as a 5-6 foot mural hanging on a wall in a gallery. This is extremely well done. Obviously it's photographed and then artistically interpreted by the maker. I scored it a 90. I think it's great.
Awesome, thank you. Continuing in the master photographic artist, we have Natural Beauty. Natural Beauty. Score is an 84. John, if I could get you to
Yeah,
comment.
I'm going to challenge you on this. I'm sorry to keep challenging, but I scored this an 88. I loved everything about this image. The placing, the composition on it is just so nice. She's dead center, but she's not in the set. She's up a little bit on the high end. Well placed. The wave coming in is so clear. That water is just so sharp. I love the gray tones to everything on here. That elongated shadow to the left pulls the image out so nicely and adds depth to the entire image. This was well thought out. This was well executed, and I think it's perfectly composed and is sharp throughout. I definitely believe it belongs in the excellent category and gave it an 88.
Jim, any comments?
No, it's a challenge. So I scored it an 85, and I concur with what John said. There are a couple of things that kept me from going higher. In the shadow, right on her breast, there is a circular spot. I don't know. It's obviously water but I would fix that. And the top left-hand corner, the texture of the sand bothers me. It keeps pulling my eye out there. It's different than the one on the right. The one on the right's a little softer and subtler, but the one on the left. But I scored it at 85, and I could consider going up.
Lisa, any comments?
Yeah, I would consider going up, but the reason I scored it at a 79, and the reason I did that was the first thing that I saw, I mean, her body, she's gorgeous, but it is so bright. I just felt that the brightness was overpowering. In that case, for me, I agree with what James said about that. There's a little mark in the sand right above her breast that I kept looking at that, wondering if that was just some other imperfection. Like I couldn't quite figure that out, and just that left corner. So that was what was keeping me back. I probably have a little wiggle room on that if somebody wants to argue with me.
I'm not going to argue with you. I literally got by saying that I love the textures. I understand what you're seeing there off to the left there. Looking at it, it's just the texture of the sand standing out, and up also in the upper left corner as well. I want that texture there because it gives definition that this is sand, and it gives it strong placement of this being on the beach and not just a gray glob across. You want that texture there. As far as the whiteness of the body, I love that contrast where you have that white versus black. the black of the shadow versus the whiteness of the body. That key contrast, high, low key, works so nice. It brings out the shadow even stronger by having the body as light as it is. So that contrast really highlights everything and draws you into the figure, which is the subject, and keeps your focus there where it belongs. So I love the texture. I love the lighting. Those things I think are important. And that's why I believe it belonged in the excellent category and scored it an 88.
Okay, judges, if you could rescore. The new score is an 86. Continuing in the Master Photographic Artist category, we have The King. The King. Score is an 82. Lisa?
Yeah, so this is really a beautiful image. I scored it at just under a merit at a 79. And I think the reason why, number one, it just felt really overly warm in the tone. I realize the lion's mane is supposed to be that golden color, but it felt a little strong to me. I do love the detail of the whiskers. And I wasn't quite sure what was going on with the little texture just to the right of the face. Because I didn't see it in other places, I wasn't really sure what that was, and that was kind of holding me back.
Thank you. Continuing on, our last image in the Master Photographic Artist category is Reaching Out. Reaching Out. The score is an 82. Jim?
I scored it at 78. I like the concept. I like how the maker took the body out of focus, but kept the hands sharp. But I kind of feel like I'm underwater, but I need to be up a little higher because the reaching out is up above. I want to see a little more up above. It's more about, to me, it's more about the title is more about the hands and the arms than the body. And but other than that, I think it's well done. I think the hands are a little hot, especially the subject's right hand is a little hot. There's a highlight running down the wrist. But the placement, the matting, everything like that looks really nice. I would just, if you have another elevation, it might be a little bit better. I scored it a 78.
Thank you. Moving along, we're going to the Masters Photojournalism category. First image in Master Photojournalism is documentation. Documentation. Score is 79. John,
I scored this a 78. I understand it being the photojournalism category. I think it tells a great story. The storyline on this is very powerful. But what held me back so much is that vignetting all the way around it. It's like they put the lens hood on there and they put it on improperly or something. I'm not saying that's what they did, but I mean that's the effect that it gives me. And so I think the technique here really is distracting by having that strong vignette around it like that. And so that just kept me from meriting it. And you might want to also consider just you can do a little dodging and burning, and I would have burned a little bit on that suit, which just is a little too hot for me. But other than that, what a powerful story.
thank you. Next in Master Photojournalism is discarded. Discarded. Score is 81. Lisa, if you could comment.
Yeah, this is an interesting image. I'm very curious about the story about the miles that Toyota had on it and all the places it was and how it ended up in this spot. I scored it at just at an 80, and I don't know. I think the main thing that kind of I wondered about was what would happen if this was just a little bit more off center. I think the fact that it's so dead center in the image, for me, it didn't draw me into the image as much as I would have liked. And then there's just, this is really a nitpicky thing. And that is that I didn't like that there was more space on your matting at the top and at the bottom than there was on the sides. And again, that's very nitpicky, but I would just consider possibly a slight little reframe on that. And I think that could bring that score up a little bit.
Kimberly, can I add something, Kim?
Absolutely.
To the maker, love the story. I love the tonality that's going on here. Just a suggestion, I would crop the bottom part. There's a lot of dead space at the bottom there. I would crop it up a bit and give it more of a panoramic effect and get rid of the dead space there. Go up about an inch or two. Just something for the maker to consider.
Can I make one more comment?
Sure.
The
I don't want you to be
foreground-
left out.
Real quick, sorry, the foreground is really sharp and the Toyota is really sharp, but everything from the front of the truck all the way back is really soft till you get to the sky. You got to focus one third into the scene. This I agree with John. You can do away with some of this and maybe a recrop, but that area around the truck has to be sharp because the sharpness is in the front, not in the back, or should be in the middle and the back, but let the front go. So your point of focus is really critical in something like this.
Thank you. And our last image in Master Photojournalism is toxic. Toxic. Score is 78. John,
I scored this as 78. Again, we've got the that heavy vignetting around it, which held me back. I like the story that's going on here. It's a great story. The title works with it well, but that heavy vignetting around it just keeps me back. I love the effect. It's like an infrared going on. And I enjoy that technique here. It just that needs to be reworked, in my opinion.
thank you. In our master photojournalism category, we have 2 images for review. The first one is documentation. Remember, a 79 keeps the original score of 79, an 80 would bring it up to a merit. It remains the same. And the final image for review in master photojournalism is toxic. Original score of 78. And it remains the same. Moving along, we have the master portrait category. Our first image in master portrait is My Teddy and Me. My Teddy and Me. Score is 83. Jim?
I scored this an 84. It's beautiful. Bet the subject's mother loved it. The position of the child is very good. There's not too much of the sole of the foot showing. The second hand, her hidden hand, there's nothing peeking out, so I can live with that. Position of the bear is good. The child is good. The only I would obviously the light is coming. She's backlit, so this foreground should be a little softer, and there's a little bit of a shadow on the from the bow on her stocking or sock. That could be toned down. That whole area could just be toned down a little bit, get a little more definition, but it definitely pulls right into her eye. And the tree, soften the tree down a little bit. I think that could go significantly higher. I'm at 84.
Thank you. Continuing in master portrait, Bear, we need to talk. Bear, we need to talk. Score is an 86. Lisa?
Well, I love this image. It just got me right at first. From the beginning, I love the way the positioning of the bear and the girl and how they're looking like she's really looking at him. I just felt that I really love the blur in the background, so that's not distracting to me. If I was going to improve anything on it, I might tone down a little bit of that brightness in the background slightly, and maybe there's a little bit of bokeh up in that top right in that tree that I might just tone that down a tiny bit. But this is a stellar image, and I just love it.
And your score was?
Oh, I'm sorry. My score was 90. And I was going to say the storytelling in this image is just remarkable. I love it.
Thank you. Continuing on in master portrait, Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Score is 82. John?
I love this image. I scored it an 85. I thought this was well executed. A lot of thought went into this. Great story. The composition works beautifully with it being centered like that. The depth of field works so nice, I think, with the oranges in the background. A great story. I would consider for the maker to, in the upper right hand corner, there's that little leaf, that white leaf in the right corner. If you take care of that, that would really help a little bit to keep your eye from being distracted like that. Great storytelling. It's just lovely. A score of 85.
Thank you. And our final
Wait,
image.
wait.
Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't get off mute fast enough. I want to
That's fine.
challenge that if I can.
Okay. Lisa's
Um,
going to challenge.
Yeah, so what do I do on that? I haven't done that before.
Okay, all you need to do is to give us the reasons that your original score, the reasons that you're challenging, and then everyone will talk about it.
Okay, so the reason I'm challenging this, I love the storytelling in the image, so there's no doubt about that. Where I'm having a little bit of trouble is down right around the area where you see the oranges in front. There is almost like a line that goes around to the crate, down and around where the oranges are, and then across, that is very blurry. And it's that harsh line of out of focus that I'm not quite sure why that's there. And it seems like the color of the oranges is a lot darker than this baby who is very washed out. I get that the sun is coming down on the baby, but I would think that the oranges would be brighter. So that's the two primary things inside of the picture. And I think the presentation to me is a little bit overdone. And if you peel that back again, all of those things combined, I think would bring it up. I was at a 79, but I'm open to hearing what the other judges have to say.
So you're challenging it down.
Yes, I'm challenging it down.
Okay. My comment on it is the light is flat on the subject, and I started in 82. The story, yes, I love the story. I think the matting and the presentation is good, but the light on the subject and the oranges in the foreground is flat. Looks like it's just like straight from the camera. It's not natural. There should be some shadow detail, because if you look where the light is in the back, the light appears to be coming in from at about 10 o'clock. Behind the trees. In the foreground, there's shadow there because it looks like you're tucked back underneath, but the baby's face, the shirt on the boy, his arms, the light's just straight in. It's flat. Look where the shadows are. So I scored it an 82, and I would come down. Well, I think I'm where I want to be, but John, I'd love to hear a retort from you.
Right. I would come down on my score too. I now that that's been brought out about that flat light, especially on the baby, I totally concur with that. And that would bring the score down for me. I personally don't have any problem with the depth of field in the foreground. I just saw that as a mound of leaves or dirt or whatever in the foreground, in the foreground, and the camera was placed to capture that there. So I just saw that as a natural occurrence, because you have that strong depth of field also in the background as well. So I didn't have a problem with that at all. but I agree with the flat light. I think you guys are absolutely right. So I'm going to come down to a score of 80.
Lisa, any further rebuttal?
I'm good. I could bring my score to an 80 as well.
Okay, judges, if you could rescore. And the new score is an 80. Continuing with our final master portrait image, I found you. I found you. Score is 82. Jim.
Scored at an 82. Beautiful, beautiful, well done. I like the tonality on the subject. Might be a little bright, could come down just a little bit. There should be some more shadow detail in there, in my opinion. The highlights and shadows are too close. I think that needs to be a little more of a gap, but it's very well done. I would also consider to the maker to crop some of the grain on the side out so that the subject becomes larger in the frame and more prominent in the scene. That would be my only comment. And I wouldn't cut off any on the bottom. I would just bring the image up this way and make that baby's face a little bit bigger in the scene. But other than that, I think it's beautiful. I think tonality is good, depth of field's good, composition's good.
Yeah, I have one more thing I want to add about this image. And it's really for the sake of the maker, and that is right next to this little boy's foot, his right foot, it butts up right against where that corn stalk is, and it's the same color. So I noticed that at first, and it keeps catching my eye. So I might just make that like it matches more of the color of the rest of that stalk. Just so that you see where the end of that foot at the heel of the foot ends. That's it. Otherwise, I love the image.
Thank you. We are now moving into the regular division. Our first category in the regular division is the regular illustrative category, and our first image is South by Southwest. South by Southwest.
Kim, I want to rescore.
Okay, I'm going to clear the scores. So Lisa, you'll need to rescore as well. And Jim, I haven't gotten yours yet.
Thank you.
Score is an 80. Lisa.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful image. It just draws me right in the middle of this image. It's gorgeous. If I had to say something about improving it, just wish that airplane was just a tiny bit bigger, because it feels like there's just a difference in scale that is just catching me. But I still scored it at an 82. I also think that top key line, either I'm having a bad eyesight night, but it seems like there is something going on with the, like that top key line, which, you know, is just a picky thing. I'm not taking off any points for that. I just want to call it out.
Does it look a different color?
Yeah, it looks almost like a gray with a hint of that
Pink.
orange color.
You got orange, I got pink on the top and orange on the bottom.
Well, kind of, yes, it's kind of pinkish.
Kim, can I add something?
Absolutely.
To the maker, if you're going to submit this any further, please, there are dust spots on this. To the left of the moon at 10 o'clock, there's a huge dust spot. And then if you look at the trail, the smoke trail, below that, there's another large dust spot. And there's a third one about 5 o'clock from the moon as well. These are huge dust spots. These will keep you from meriting, period. So if you're going to take this any further, please clean up this image, and it will go further if you will please take care of those dust spots.
Good call on that, John. I thought it was my monitor. I was like, I think I need to clean my monitor. So thank you.
Thank you. Continuing in the regular division illustrative category, we have burned out. Burned out. Score is 82. John.
I scored it an 83. How can old lanterns tell a story? But with that title, it tells a great story here. I just thought that was excellent. I love the leading line going from the top left corner to the bottom right. Your eye is drawn down to those two extra hanging lanterns down there, which are crystal clear. Something for the maker to consider. There's some competition going on with that strap. If you follow that line back up again, there's like a strap of paper or something hanging right down the middle as well, which conflicts with your attention with those two lanterns. If you could take care of that, that would really help for future consideration. But great story, well documented, well placed, excellent composition. Taking something that is so bland and normal and making it a great story. Well done to the maker.
Thank you. And our last image in regular illustrative is Big Boy. Big Boy. Score is 79. Jim.
I scored it a 78. I like the concept of what the maker was trying to do. The one thing that held me back from going into the merit category is that I think the maker, the focus point is on the Union Pacific 4014 sign, not up in front. And when you're photographing commercial things like this, the rule of thirds, 1/3 focus point needs to be 1/3 in. So 1/3 in front, 2/3 behind is going to be in focus. And I think a slightly different f-stop with a better choice of focus point would have brought the whole thing into focus and improved the image significantly. But I like the color. It might have toned down that flare off the sun up on the left and right just a little bit, so it stayed inside the frame. But the concept is really great. I scored it 78.
Thank you. And we have one image for review in the regular illustrative category, which is Big Boy. So original score of 79, an 80 if you'd like to make it up to a merit, 79 to remain the same. And it remains the same. Okay, continuing in the regular division, we are now in the landscape category. Our first image in the landscape category is Sierra Sunrise. Sierra Sunrise. The score is an 80. Lisa.
Yeah, I thought this image was really stellar. I just love the whole scene, and it's very inviting. I think what held me back just a tiny bit on the score of going a little bit higher would have been, I wasn't sure what the maker, like the purpose of the maker leaving such a larger margin, I guess, off to that right side. So that kind of threw me off. And I just would have to wonder, again, if there might be a little bit better presentation that might draw me in. I think that color just doesn't do, I don't know, it just doesn't support the image, in my opinion. I scored it an 80, by the way.
Thank you. Continuing in the regular landscape category, we have Alone. Alone. Score is 83. John.
I scored this an 85. In fact, I think I'm going to have to challenge. I think this is an excellent image. The title brings in everything. You normally would look for the 1/3 rule, but this composition, by putting a dead center and putting all that sky up there, it makes that tree really look isolated, which is the whole story. And you have the leading lines with those crops coming right towards it. It is perfectly composed, well thought through, great story, wonderful presentation, nice and simple presentation. And that sky, normally I'm not a big sky person. It just, people put too much sky, but it works here so well. That dark, foreboding gray just accentuates the loneliness. This captures that moment so well. And I think it's certainly deserving in the excellent category. In fact, I think I'm going to raise my score to an 87.
Jim, any comments?
Yes. Hat off to the maker. It's an excellent image, well thought out. I'm just, the one thing that I'm having a problem with getting it up to that high is it's not quite symmetrical. That you've got those rows leading right in and it's kind of leading off to the side. I don't know if this is a blessing or a curse, but I see that kind of stuff every day in the kind of work that I do. And just, a slight shift of that tree to the right with all those lines following it, I think would dramatically improve this. So the lines would be leading directly from the center, symmetrically into that. That's, I scored it an 80, and I probably am low in that score, but I'd like to hear what Lisa has to say.
Lisa?
Well, I love the image too. I think it tells a beautiful story of just, the isolation and loneliness that, that comes with that scene. I liked the image. I think one of the things that maybe distracted me ever so slightly is it just seems like there's a bit of the cloud on that left-hand side, about middle of the cloudy area, that seems to be really out of focus, or again, maybe it's my eyes. But other than that, I mean, I scored it at an 85, and I feel pretty solid with where I am on that. I don't know that I would go any higher than that. But I think it's a great image with a great story. So hats off to the maker.
John, any rebuttal?
Okay, the softness on the left, that's just the type of cloud it is. I don't know my Nimbus from Columbus, anything like that, but that's just the type of cloud it is. So I have no problem with its softness, especially when you see the variety of other clouds. As far as the symmetry at the bottom, I like this. I guess it's a matter of taste. I like how it's split like that and leads in. It just, for me, accentuates drawing into the center of that tree. So I guess that's just a matter of personal taste there, but I like that. So all of those things, I think, work for this image. And those clouds just really accentuate its loneliness. So, and that's why I'm scoring it an 87. Definitely worthy, I feel, of being in the excellent category.
Judges, if you can rescore, please. And the new score is an 85.
Thank you.
Continuing along in the regular landscape category, we have Milky Way Wagon. Milky Way Wagon. The score is an 85. Jim, if you could comment.
I want to challenge too, by the way.
Okay.
Sorry, not to be contrary, but
Okay, Lisa, well, if you want to start with the challenge, then we'll have everybody have a turn to comment. So
yeah.
go ahead,
So
Lisa.
I scored this at a 92, and I've just got to say I'm all in on this image. I love the just the color balance here and what the maker has done. I think the Milky Way sky is gorgeous. Again, I can put myself in this picture. I can put myself there. I think the image of the wagon is it just adds to the story of this image. And the darkness that's down in that lower right side really just draws me into that scene. So I think the whole presentation of it is great. I love the color of the key line. I just love this image. So well done to the maker. And I would like to hear what others have to say, but I love this image.
Jim?
I scored it 78. And there are several things. I mean, I like the concept, what the maker was trying to do. I've tried to photograph the Milky Way. It's not easy. And when you have foreground in it, it's even worse. So I commend the maker for the effort. The things that I would point out to the other judges is the train's not sharp. If you look at the middle of the train, it's sharp. The back of the train is not, and the foreground here is out of focus. There's what appears to be PVC down on the bottom. I would take that out, but that's neither here nor there. The focus of that red, especially the red car. And if you look at the top of the red car, I don't want to say it's cut in, but there's a brown haze that just follows that line. That's the first thing. The second thing is the sky is too bright. If the sky's that bright, the ground's got to have some color to it, or at least some detail to it, because that's a long exposure. I suspect that it's a multiple exposure, but I don't know. And in the back right, just about an inch or two in, there's a gap where the light comes through, and I would expect to see more. There's a little bit of shadow detail starting right at the back of the train, but I would have expected to see more in the shadow area, especially with how lit up the train is when the sky is that bright. So I think there's just a balance that needs to be captured. So I scored it a 78, and I'm willing to hear what John has to say.
Well, John has to say is you're a party pooper.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The reason I say that, Jim, is because this in 86, and I'm listening to your comments, and I'm going, he's right. He's right. So I'm you pointed out some things here that I definitely overlooked, and because I love this image as well, and that's why I scored it an 86 and thought it was certainly worthy of the excellent category. But the more I listen to you, I'm going, he's got a good point there. And you're right. I didn't notice that about the smudging there or whatever on the top of the red foreground vehicle there, but that's very evident now. I like the bright sky personally. I think that works well. But that darkness, you're right. There would be more definition on the ground. So you made some excellent points there, Jim. So I appreciate your feedback on that. And I'm going to have to lower my score. Because of the technical excellence and the sky itself and the sky painting that's going on, I'm going to give it an 80, unless Lisa, you can convince me otherwise.
Yeah, well, again, I appreciate the maker and what the maker did here. I do love the image, but I think James has pointed out some technical things that I had not noticed, partially because I was so captivated by the rest of the sky. I agree with what he's saying about this area up by the red part of that tank. And I also see it kind of coming through on the back of that hillside, more so. So I'm going to rescore mine at, I'm going to bring it to an 80 on that too, just for the technical excellence.
Okay, judges, if you could rescore. And the new score is a 79. Continuing on in the regular landscape category, we have unique winter sunset over the iconic tunnel view. Unique winter sunset over the iconic tunnel view. Score is 81. John?
I scored this an 83, worthy of a merit. I just think this is absolutely gorgeous. The maker did a wonderful job capturing the moment there, the perfect setting there, great composition. Couple of things for the maker to consider though is it would always help to have a good presentation around this. Just something simple to capture it would be really, really helpful. I think that would help. And I don't know if it's me, but it seems a little on the soft side overall. I was hoping for a little more sharpness in the crevices of the mountain ranges in the background. Just something for the maker to consider that might elevate it some more for the technique aspect of everything. But for the impact, the composition, the storytelling, just lovely. Oh, and also one other thing. Can you say that title one more time, Kim?
Unique winter sunset over the iconic tunnel view.
Too long. Work on that title, please. We don't, you're just saying what we're seeing there. And just shorten that title and give it more of an impact story to it with the title.
Can I make a quick comment
Yes.
to the maker? Watch your focus point, because this greenery in the foreground and the snow in the foreground is sharp. The middle is really soft, and the mountains tends to get a little sharp back there again. But watch where your focus is. Remember, 1/3 in front and 2/3 behind, whatever your focus point is going to be sharp. So, and the right side is soft back on that mountain, but it's sharp on this side. So it may be a glass or a focal length issue also. So I would keep an eye on that and where your focus is.
And that's that softness I was talking about. Thanks, Jim.
Continuing in the regular landscape category, we have grist mill. Grist mill. The score is 81. Lisa?
Well, I love this image. It's just really beautiful. It looks very peaceful. I could see myself pulling up a chair and just hanging out in this location. I did score this at an 86, just because I really felt that it was just a compelling image with, the storytelling was there. I liked the leading line of just the water, kind of running through there and pulling you in. I think the presentation is simple. If I was going to fix anything on that presentation, I might just change the color of that key line because it's a little bit bright. But I didn't really mark down for that. So that's why I gave it an 86.
Thank you. Moving along, we have in the regular landscape category is white pocket. White pocket. Score is 82. And Jim, if you could comment.
I scored this a 77, and there are a couple of things about it that, I mean, it's great concept. I like the time of day, beautiful capture of the sky, the rock, really soft light. But the things that I would look at to improve it would be, it's just soft. It needs some zip. It needs a little sharpening, and it needs a little, I don't know, tonal contrast or dehaze or something like that, just to bring out a little more, so it's not quite so flat. But the things that kept me from going up into the merit category, if you dead center to the left, the rocks, follow it, there's a line that's, I don't know, sticks out 1/4 of an inch all the way around that side of the mountain. If you come down the other side, you have a little bit of it, but then you start up the next peak and it looks like the sky was dropped in. So there's a line all the way up. If you follow it around the other side and down the other side, that line is also there. I don't know if a second image was used to drop the sky in, a second exposure or what. It doesn't appear to be on the other side, but those points there in the sky really kept me from going into the merit category. The others are just lighting issues, bring the shadows down a little bit and highlights up a little bit, create a little more contrast. That's what my point was, and then focus a little bit. But I think you're on to something really good, and I think the maker should be, pleased with what he got, but it can be improved.
Thank you. Still in the regular landscape category is Sunday Cruise. Sunday Cruise. Score is 87. Excuse me, 85. Sorry, I'm having trouble reading numbers today. The score is 85. Lisa, if you could comment.
Yeah, I love this image. I mean, I wouldn't expect to see a bike in the middle of that frosty area, field, whatever that is, but I love it. And that tree is so spooky that I can imagine it reaching out and grabbing you. But aside from what I see in the story of this picture, I feel like it was well executed. I love I just love all the shapes and how you're just drawn into this picture. And I also love just that little bit of the branches that come in on that left-hand side of the image, just sort of finishing off that corner. I scored this at an 85, and I really love the image. So good job to the maker.
And our final image in the regular landscape division is Paris Village. Paris Village. Score is 85. John.
Oh, I scored.
I'm gonna challenge that.
Okay.
Okay.
I scored this a 90. This is excellent. This is very well done. There are some things that could be improved. There's no question about it, but But this is an excellent piece of architectural photography. The lines are straight, perspective looks good. You don't expect this age of a building to have perfectly square lines. So I can buy the fact that the doors on both sides are a little bit tilted, you know, but the way that the maker set up the scene to drive through at the time of day with the lights, they didn't turn those carriage lights on in the foreground. Understand that, light that up, okay? Bring up the highlight, bring up the sign just a little bit, but this is excellent and extremely well captured. It took somebody to see this and take the time to set it up and make it work. I'd like to hear why it shouldn't go up to the superior category.
John?
One thing that held me back, I scored it an 80. You're absolutely right, Jim, with the architectural part. But what kept frustrating me was the angle. There's so much space at the bottom there of the street. You need some of that leading line to go in, but there's at the top, the roof is cut off. And I kept wanting to go up higher to shift the entire thing to cut the foreground a bit and add up at the top a little bit. I just wanted to see more of the building and less of the pavement at the base, just a little bit. And that's what kept holding me back. And I kept seeing, well, all those lights or lanterns are lit, but that one in the foreground isn't. I was just kind of thrown off a little bit by that.
Lisa, any comments?
Yeah, I scored it at an 85, and I agree. I was surprised that this one lantern in the front wasn't lit. I agree. I thought this was a very nice image. I would have liked to have seen the finished curve of that line of the top of that left, the building on the left side. I would have liked that, but I don't know that that was really holding me back. And I kept looking at this sign that is in between like that tree or bushy area and that building, because it was playing a trick on me, because I kept thinking, like, is it really set back? It felt like it needed to be just a hint brighter, because I'm kind of curious about what that sign is. And I keep going back to that. And then just the final comment on this. I mean, I agree. I think it's a beautiful image, and I might be convinced to adjust my score up slightly. But I'm not sure, like, this could benefit from a little bit more of a presentation around the image as well.
Jim, any further comments, rebuttal?
John, I hear what you're saying, and Lisa, I hear what you're saying. As I stated, I think that if that light, the carriage light was lit, yes, it would go up. And if the white arrow was just a little, but that white arrow, that to me, that just, I saw that white arrow, I went to it, and down the road I went, and all the rest, the roof, yes, that could be improved, maybe a little less foreground, but it pulled my eye to that back of that, down that archway or walkway to, and I would expect that the lights in the foreground would be brighter than the ones in the background, because light falls off the square of the distance. But those minor things I think could take this up, and this could be really, really strong. So those are my comments.
If you could please rescore.
Jim, what are you going to rescore it as? Are you going to stick with your score?
I'd like to see it in the high excellent category.
Okay, thank you.
And the new score is an 88. Congratulations to the maker. We have one image for review in our master landscape category, and that is Milky Way Wagon, an original score of 79. and it stays the same. Moving on, we are in the regular division in the nature category. And our first image is, do these feathers make my butt look big? Do these feathers make my butt look big? Score is an 85. John?
Just with that title itself, it's worthy of a merit. Seriously, I scored it an 80. I love the composition. I love the title, of course. What I maybe it's me, but it just seems soft. I'm looking at the eyes and the portrait profile of this beautiful bird, and it just looks soft to me. And I was hoping for it to be a little sharper. I see the tack sharpness along the base of the tree and the branch and everything, and the legs and going up onto the feathers. But as I get to the head, it just seems soft, and that's to me the most important part. So that's what I saw. So I scored it an 80.
Thank you.
I want to challenge.
Okay.
Up or down?
I want to challenge up. I was pretty much all in on this image. To address that softness, I think that there's just a softness in the feathers that are around the head. I felt like it was sharp, at least to my eyes. And I think there's a lot of sharpness to the feathers along, the breast or the neck of that bird. I just love the simplicity of the image and just I don't know, there's just a curiosity that just draws me to that. I think the bird seems very sharp to me. It's just a compelling image. I like it. I scored it at a 90.
Jim, any comments?
No, I concur with everything that's been said.
John,
I-
anything further?
Oh, no, I said what I was going to say.
Okay. Any rebuttal, Lisa? If not, go ahead and rescore.
Yeah, we could just
Come
rescore.
on. Come on.
And the new score is an 86. Continuing in the regular division nature, we have 1 in a million. 1 in a million. Score is 84. Jim.
I scored it at 82. I really like the image. I think the maker should be commended. It's beautiful. The thing that held me back from going higher is that it's soft. It's soft everywhere and it's grainy. I would denoise it a little bit, but I would kick up the sharpness a little bit on it. It needs some more detail. If you look at the arms, tentacles of the whatever it is in the foreground, they're soft, but the ones in the middle and the ones on the top are sharp, but the ones on the bottom are softer, and the ones going out are soft. they need a little more detail. I know it's difficult, but with the softwares that we have, we can probably bring out a little more dimension to those tentacles. I scored it an 82.
Thank you. Continuing in regular nature, we have standing tall. Standing tall. Score is an 84. Lisa.
Yeah, I think this is a beautiful image. Hats off to the maker. I love all the detail of kind of the bubbles in the clouds. I like, just how the sky, it almost looks like maybe it had just rained. So there's that extra golden color that comes right after a rain. Love the blur, in the background, but this giraffe is just so majestic. So I scored this at an 83.
Thank you. Continuing in the nature category, Iris, I could dance. Iris, I could dance. Score is 80. John.
Oh, what a colorful image this is. It really pops out at you. I scored it an 80, worthy of a merit. Something for the maker to consider is that the timing of this, the lighting is come and go. There's shadow on parts of it. There's lights on other parts of this iris. It just, you don't know where the lighting really is on this. It just moves all over the place. Another thing in the background, that bokeh is, I love bokeh in the background, but there's just so much going on there. It's very distracting and keeps you from focusing on the iris itself, and it gets lost in that background because of the strong bokeh that's being played there. So you have competing interests going on there with the subject and the strong multi-colored bokeh in the background. It works against each other, I feel. But the technique in putting it all together, I thought it was worth an 80, a merit.
Thank you. And our final image in the regular nature category is quail on a rail. Quail
Sorry,
on a rail.
I want to challenge that last one, but we can come back to it.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Let's go ahead and do quail on a rail. score is an 80. And Jim,
Sorry, wrong mouse. I scored it a 78. And I like the concept of what the maker was trying to do. I was just looking at the rail, and I think I want to see a little more rail. First, I thought that ball of light in the background was an egg that it was protecting, but then initial glance, but then I realized it's a little big. But I'd like to see a little more rail than what's there. And you got to bring the highlights down on the quail's chest and head. They're just way too hot, and on its foot. It needs a little sharpness in the eye and the beak, and in the side of his face. Maybe if you could take it off center just a little bit. Do we really need all of the competing real bright light up in the top left hand? I'm not sure. That would, I think, amp it up, but the bird's right dead square in the center of the image. It should be offset a little bit, I think. I scored it a 78.
thank you. Going back to the challenge that Lisa wanted on Iris, I Could Dance.
Yeah, so I had scored it at a 78. I could not get it to the merit category. So I just wanted to challenge that. I think that for me, there's the color harmony just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. There's a lot of, red in that background, and it does with the flower in the foreground, that is just a lot cooler to me. And I agreed with what John said about the bokeh. The bokeh is very strong, for sure. And if I was gonna, do some kind of an improvement on this, I would maybe crop it off center, because there's just so much competing for focal point on this, that I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what is behind that image. So I don't know what the final score on that was, but I think I would just score it under the merit category.
Your original score was 78 and the score for this image was an 80. Jim, do you have any comments? And I can
Yes.
tell you your score if you need to know it.
I'm leaning toward what Lisa has to say, and for the reasons that John pointed out, but down the bottom center, right on the stem, there's that purple piece that's sticking out behind it. That's got to go. I agree, a crop, but again, the focus point. Where's the focus point? And I'm not seeing any detail in the yellow of the iris. I'm seeing it in the purple, but the highlights are too hot, and all that needs to come down, and that background needs to be just darkened down, brought down, because the red is too strong compared to the purple, and it's a strong primary color as opposed to pastels. And I think the maker's onto something. I think it's a great image, but I concur with what Lisa had to say.
John, any further comments?
No, it's been said.
Lisa, any rebuttal?
No.
Okay, go ahead and rescore. Image now scores a 78. So in the landscape category, we have one image for review. Iris, I Could Dance, with a score of 78. An 80 to bring it to a merit, 79 to keep it the same.
Can we see the image?
It's the image that's up. Iris, I Could Dance.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
It's the
Okay,
same image.
thank you.
And the score stays the same. Now moving on to the regular division photographic artist category. Our first image is Team Spirit. Team Spirit.
What category again?
Photographic artist.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a way that you can make it so we can view that top part? It's like being cut off. Or at least in my screen.
Yeah, in the,
Oh, I moved my cursor. I'll just do that. Never mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
score is 80. Lisa?
Yeah, I like this image. I mean, it's has all kinds of school cheer. I like it. What I scored it at an 81, and I think just a couple of things that did kind of distract me a little bit is the girl in the middle that's doing the splits in the air. I think I would have liked her just to be a little bit more like that right side of her leg just up a little bit more. And then the one on the right that's up in the air, it's hard to tell where her lower leg is, but it looks like it's either, I know that this is composited, but it almost looks like it's resting on that other girl's head, or I can't tell. It should be more behind, and it doesn't look very far behind. So that's, I scored it at an 81. I like, the work that went into this. It's a beautiful image, and I'm sure the girls really enjoyed it.
Moving on, the next image in our regular photographic artist category is Delicate Daffodil. Delicate Daffodil. Score is 86. John?
I scored this an 85. I certainly thought that it was worthy to be in the excellent category. Wow, what an impact. This thing popped up and you just go, wow. The color harmony on this is just marvelous from the presentation all the way through. I love the placing. I love the softness that's surrounding it. You have the colors that are fading in and out, dark and light in the background. Very artistically done. A lot of creative thought went into this. Beautiful image. And I just, hats off to the maker on this. It just is a gorgeous, gorgeous image. Well done, great impact. Love this image. 86.
Can I make a quick comment?
Absolutely.
I scored this an 89, and I would have definitely gone up into the superior category. Two things held me back: the stem, just the focus, the soft focus that's on there needs to be subdued about 50%. It doesn't need to be so abrupt. And the back leaf on the flower, it looks like it's on the same plane as the one on the right. So technically it should be sharp. At least the front of it should be sharp, but there's a softness to it that I think is a vignette, and you need to take that off and bring back a little more sharpness of it. You got it in the foreground, but it's lost in the background, and it needs to come up. But other than that, I scored an 89, and I'll tell you, that's a beautiful image. Hats off to the maker.
I want to make one more comment too. While we're at it, and I think I do agree it's a beautiful image. I didn't think it was a daffodil. I thought daffodils were all yellow or some variant with a circle kind of center. And this looks to me like an iris. So that threw me for a loop for a lot of the time, but then I decided I wouldn't think of that. I would just look at the image instead. So I would just, if I was the maker, I would just take a look at that. And if it is in fact a daffodil, then I am wrong, and it's all good.
Continuing along in our regular photographic artist category, we have entangled. Entangled. Score is 88. Jim.
I scored it an 88. This maker knows Photoshop pretty well, and a few other programs. This is very, very well done. Take the image in the bottom right and create what they've got there. Is really remarkable. I would that last loop down the bottom loops, I would bring them down just a little bit. The light's a little harsh on them compared to the one at the top. That it just draws my eye down, where the blue, I want to be more on the blue, and this is pulling my eye down to the bottom. So I suppose there's a tension there, but just bring it down a little bit, because the green and the yellow will pull your eye down there. But I think to the maker, this is stunning, and I like the way that the key line uses the colors, the gradient as it goes across. That's very creative and excellent image. I scored it an 88.
Thank you. Continuing in photographic artist is game day. Game day. Score is 81. Lisa.
Yeah, I like the image itself. What kept me, I scored it at a 79, and what kept me back is I think I was just bothered by the girls that are kind of in the front where you can see their feet, that you really just can't see their feet. I think the fog is not thick enough to really blur out their feet, so it just felt like they were floating too much in my mind. And I would also just I don't know, I guess maybe that key line bothers me just a little bit, and maybe I would just pick up that color that's in the sharks, in that text, just to kind of tie that all together. But the composite itself is beautiful.
Can I make a quick comment?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I scored it an 83, and the one thing that kept me from going higher with this is the whites are just too white compared to the faces, but more importantly, the lighting. Look at the girl on the top left, how the light is almost at a 45-degree angle, but the girl in the top right and the one right underneath the R and the K, it's flat light. So, and they're all the levels are the lighting is at a different level on each, pretty much on every one of them. The young lady with the glasses in the middle, she's kind of darker compared to the one on the right holding the bat behind her. I watch your exposures when you're building the composite. You can make that adjustment to bring those all into line so that they're about the same. this cut in the bottom girl in the bottom right is a little bit off, but around her hair, it's a little too perfect. But other than that, I think it's a very well done image. I scored it at 83.
Continuing in the regular photographic artist category, we have Spider Lady. Spider Lady.
And this category again is what?
Photographic artist.
Thank you.
Score is 82. John.
I scored this an 80. I liked what the maker did here, taking a normal everyday outdoor photo and making it into it looks like an indoor spotlighted photo. A very creative idea here. I thought they executed it well. It works, and I just thought that whoever it was did a nice job. But that simplicity kind of held me back a little bit. But in the artist category, because you're looking for degrees of difficulty as well. And so that degree isn't as strong there as in with some of the other images, maybe not to compare it with another image, but just the concept of difficulty being important. So a score of 80, I thought it was worthy of a merit.
Thank you. Still in the photographic artist category, we have Gargalis. Gargalis. Score is a 79. Jim.
I scored it 78. And like the concept of what the maker tried to do and in dropping it in, it's good cutout. My concern is arm placement. In other words, the composition, how he's holding his arm. We're looking up into his shirt, which his arm is sharp and his shirt is sharp, but the numbers and number 13 in Santiago is out of focus, but yet his hand and the net is in focus. So I'm having a little bit of a problem with the numbers being out of focus and everything. His face is in focus, all of that. Other than that, the exposure is good on the subject. I like the composition, but I would lower his hand down a little bit so that it's not quite so in your face, and you would eliminate seeing up his arm and more focused on his body. Scored it a 78.
Thank you. And our final image in the photographic artist category is Huskies. Huskies. Score is 80. Lisa?
Yeah, I like this image. Scored it at an 82. I might have been able to get a little bit higher, but it just needed a little bit more room on the edges. My guess is this was made for a banner of some sort, but I like the image. I like the, just the consistency of the lighting on the person, and just nice composite here.
And we have one image for review in the photographic artist category. That is Gargalis. Gargalis with an original score of 79. And it remains the same. Moving on, we are in the regular division, the photojournalism category. First image is old and new flying together. Old and new flying together. Score is 81. John?
I scored this an 80. The maker did a very good job of capturing those propellers just right. You want to have those propellers seen, but blurred, but not too sharp, and they captured it really well there. The simplicity of this is nice. I'm kind of taken back with the presentation, why it's misshaped like it is. I don't know if that's for artistic touch or not, but I don't think it works too well in the presentation. Just a nice, simple photo here. Captures the story well. Propellers caught very well. So a score of 80.
And the next image in regular division photojournalism is Flying Solo. Flying Solo. Score is 82. Jim?
I scored it at 83, and I love it. It's I assume that I have no idea how you got it, because you're almost at the same elevation as that plane. That's extremely well done. I like the way the composition is, so you're leading into the image. The things that I would suggest that the maker do is sharpen it up a little bit. It's a little bit soft, especially on the all the writings on the plane, and just bring up the color a little bit. That navy blue needs. This is you're trying to create a real emotion with it. There's needs cloud cover or something to help tell the story even stronger. But bring up that navy blue in the fuselage of this plane. But it's extremely well done, and I scored it an 83.
Thank you. Now into the regular division portrait category. First image is Lady in Red. Lady in Red. Score is 80. Lisa?
Yeah, I thought it was a beautiful image. I scored it at an 82. I think what kept me from going a little bit higher on that just had to do with if you just tone back the brightness on her belly, and I realized that the sun is shining there, but it just a hint, maybe bring back the highlights or something on that. And then there's a cast of, the red, probably from the dress, on her leg that just is a little bit distracting and doesn't match the skin tone of her, chest and her stomach as well, or her face. But this is a beautiful image. I would imagine the client was very happy. Oh, and I scored, did I say that? I scored it an 82.
Thank you. Next in the regular division portrait category is Chillin. Chillin. Score is 81. John.
Ooh, I scored this a 78. I'm sure that the maker is the subject is pleased with this image. It's a delightful image, and tells a story well. And I like the effect that they're trying to do of vignetting this whole thing with the spotlight on the person. But that spotlight is too strong, and it's flat across the face, the hands, and those knees there. The contrast is very strong, and it held me back from a merit because of the strong lighting flatly across the face and hands.
Thank you.
That's it.
Still in the portrait category, we have flower bed. Flower bed. Score is 79. Lisa.
Well, you just have to love this beautiful baby. I scored it at an 80. Let me just double check myself, an 82. And the first thing I do see in this image is the baby. And I think maybe the baby is a little bit on the bright side, but I loved everything around the baby. I just loved the color harmony. I thought that it could benefit a little bit more from a little bit larger presentation, which is, another reason why I didn't go any higher. But beautiful image.
Thank you. Continuing in the portrait category, truncated. Truncated. Score is 79. Jim.
I scored it an 80. I think it's worthy of a merit. I think the maker did a really good job in trying to get this right. Couple of things that I'll point out is there's well, first of all, the blue on the blue reflections got to go. You got to turn those into gray or something else, but you're not quite square. I did score it a merit, but you're not quite square onto the camera, onto the car. And you can see that. And then the reflections need to be toned way down, because this highlight of your softbox and reflections in the eyes I can live with, but the one on the bumper is a problem for me. The left side, tone down the shoes and the legs, just the skin just a little bit. But I think you've got the start of something really good. This is creative. Clean up the little spots on the bumpers down in the bottom, the dirt or dust spots, and you're onto something good there. I scored it an 80.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to add just one more thing about that. I would also just clean up the bottom of her shoe. I think women look at that kind of stuff, and it's just distracting, and the image is still beautiful if you just took care of that. So that was the only thing I wanted to add.
Thank you. Next is those toes. Those toes. Score is 82. Lisa.
Well, this is that same baby. This is a precious baby, but I love the image. I scored it at an 84. I think that there's a little bit of a story here that I can imagine, and I like the color harmony. I think maybe the baby could be toned down just a tint, on the brightness, but I love it, just really all of it. Maybe, there's a bit of a darkness right there on that right-hand side where there's all those flowers on the left that, I wish there was maybe a little bit more balance on that right side where it's so dark. But otherwise, I liked the image and scored it at an 84.
Thank you. Continuing on in the portrait category is Mother's Day. Mother's Day. Score is 83. John.
I scored, excuse me, I scored this an 86. I love the story here. I love the lighting on this. The hat, though, the lighting could be worked a little better, but the profile works very nice. It's tack sharp throughout. I love how it's silhouetted like that with the background in black, and she just kind of pops out there like that. That's really nice. It tells a beautiful story. I think it's just lovely lighting on the face and the hands and the body there, and how it blends into the background. So nice with that portrait like that. Great story, great presentation.
I think I want to come back with a challenge to challenge for lower. I scored it at a 79. There was some issues going on with the hat that, the lighting on that hat is really bright on the front, but then there's absolutely no definition at the back of her. And I think, I don't know, my opinion, again, is if when you're photographing a woman, I think you want to photograph the shape, the whole shape. And the front is very well defined, looks beautiful, but there's nothing on the back. And I can't tell where she ends and the background begins. And I think that that's what's really bothering me and holding me back on going up to a merit.
Jim, any comments?
They've been made. John, do you want to rebut?
Yeah, the one thing I want to say is that I like the way it blends, as I mentioned before. I love that how it blends into the background like that and the back. If that was defined in the back there, the profile would be too stark. And I just love that effect that you have where it just blends into the background in the back there, and it forces you to focus on the face and then the hands and the belly, and all the attention goes there because that's the only place where the light is. And I want that because that's where the story is, and that's where my eyes go, and that forces me to stay there. So I like that profile like that.
I'm gonna go with you, John. I'm gonna bump mine up to an 80.
If you could rescore, please. And the score remains an 83. Our next image is Pear. Pear. Score is 84. Jim.
I scored an 84. This is very well executed. I like the depth of field. I like the positioning of the baby, the not quite on center, the fact that she's got a baby pear in her mouth. Not sure that's going to taste too good, but the things that I would recommend to the maker I'm sure the mother loved it, by the way. I don't think you need as much on the left side beyond that pear. You don't need that on the left side. And I would also suggest that a vignette be applied, a soft vignette to darken down the milk, the whole area all around the baby so that the baby becomes the brightest spot on the scene. It's competing with that white you know what I mean? Can't think of the word.
Picture.
Picture, excuse me. Thank you very much. It's the white picture. It's competing with that, but I think it's extremely well done. I like the pose. I like the fact that the baby's engaging with the camera. I like the position of the hands. You can see all the fingers. The feet are buried. We get that, and everything else. But I think just that vignette needs to be increased a little bit, and I think it would be very well done. I scored an 84.
Thank you. Continuing in our portrait category in the regular division is Crown of Beauty. Crown of Beauty. Score is 82. Lisa.
Yeah, this is a beautiful image. I scored it at an 84. I love just how she's looking down. It brings that focus down on the left side. I just think it's very balanced. I love the colors. I love the simplicity of this image, and I think it was beautifully done. So 84.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Yeah.
To the maker there, I see an imbalance in the lighting. The face is very bright, and yet the rest of the body, the arms and the shoulders are very soft and even. And there's a strong contrast between the face and the body there with the lighting. And you want to see a little more of that evenness across there, yet definition as well. Don't get me wrong. So you might want to be careful about overexposing the face compared to the rest of the body.
Thank you. Still in the portrait category, we have I'm listening. I'm listening. Score is 85. John.
I scored this an 85. I thought it was certainly worthy to be in the excellent category. Love the lighting on this. You have this dark dog here, but it's lit just so nicely, and your eyes are drawn right to its eyes as well. Beautifully captured, nice and sharp, well posed, well composed, centered nicely. I love how the background blends so nicely to this image overall. Very well done. Good presentation. It's certainly worth the 85.
And our last image in the portrait category and our last image for the evening, but certainly not the least, is Mi Amigo. Mi Amigo. Score is 80. Jim.
I scored it an 80, and he's somebody's amigo. I think he's looking at me. I don't know that he's smiling at me or what, but that's pretty good. That's a great capture. I'm not sure that we need all the wood on the left side around him. I think maybe the crop can be tightened up, and I'm a little concerned about the beam going through the back of his head. But I think if you were to play with that a little bit, that you could clean that up and just crop it down a little tighter. I think more about the subject matter, the dog, rather than the scene. That would help improve it. I like the matting and I like the layout of it. So I scored it an 80.
We have two images for review. First one with an original score of 79 is Flower Bed. Remember, 79 to stay the same, 80 to bring it up to a merit. It stays the same. And our next is Truncated with an original score of 79. And it stays the same. That concludes our regular judging. Now we will take just a moment, and then we're going to have the judges pick the best of show out of the two different divisions. Okay, so we're going to start by announcing the best of class in the different classes and showing you those images and letting you know who the makers are. And then after we do that, then from those best of class images, then you will pick the best of show We will bring those up together for each of the different divisions. So our first best of category is the Master Illustrative category, and that is Precision. Congratulations to Bruce Benet. For Best of Class in Landscape, for the Master's Division is Perspective. Congratulations to Peter Levshin. Yay, Peter. In the Master's Division Nature, our best of category image is, let me get to it, hold on. Owl Ballerina, and that is congratulations to Royal Neerdiek. I probably am just butchering his last name. Best of class for Master Photographic Artist is Feeding Frenzy. Congratulations again to Bruce Benet. Best of class in the Master's Division Photojournalism is Discarded. Congratulations to Peter Levshin. And then the best in class in the Master's Portrait category is Bear, We Need to Talk. Congratulations to Erica Tinoco. So now I'm going to bring those, actually, we'll do the regular division, then I can get out of this one. So I can stay in one app instead of going back and forth to apps. In the regular division, in the illustrative category, we have Burned Out. Congratulations to Brad Toms. The best in class in the landscape category for the regular division is Paris Village. Congratulations to Young Payek. Best in class for regular division nature is Do These Feathers Make My Butt Look Big? Congratulations to Kim Shapiro.
Hey, Kim.
Best in class for master photographic artist. Oh, excuse me, general division photographic artist is Entangled. Congratulations, Annette Gregory.
Good job, Annette.
Next, best in class for regular division photojournalism is Flying Solo. Congratulations, Kim Shapiro.
Good job, Kim.
And our best in class for portrait in the regular division is I'm Listening. Congratulations to Amelia Durham.
Good job, Amelia.
So these are the images that won the best of categories in the master division. So judges, if you can either pick your favorite or start eliminating ones out, I can take them away from the screen until you get down to your favorite.
Wonderful images. All 6 of them are just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, this isn't going to be easy for sure.
I've got mine down to 2.
I
Can we
think I'm
eliminate-
down. I've got 2.
Can we eliminate the owl?
Yeah.
Okay,
Everybody okay with the owl going away?
Okay, that was one of my 2. So if you eliminate that one, I'm okay.
okay. Suggest a
Leave it.
different one?
We
Yeah,
can
Can
leave
we
it.
eliminate the truck?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And I think the one in the top middle.
Agreed.
Yep.
Everybody okay with that one going away?
Yep. I think the child needs to go.
Yeah.
Oh, that was one of my favorites.
Okay. Anybody, John, what's your opinion on it?
I would let it go.
Okay,
2 out of 3, I guess.
2 out of 3.
Love the formation of the flights, but I would have to let it go, unfortunately.
Of which
I
one?
I would prefer the airplanes and the fish over the owl.
I agree.
So we're good with letting the owl go?
Yes.
Yeah, 2 out of 3. Okay, I go with feeding frenzy. That would be my choice to keep.
I agree.
I agree with that.
So best of show goes to Feeding Frenzy. Congratulations, Bruce Benet.
Very good.
That's well done.
Give me just a second to mark that down. These are the 6 winners from the regular division. So same process if you want to start eliminating till you get down to your favorite.
Wow.
Lanterns, I can let the lanterns go.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I agree. Again, all great images.
Yeah, they are.
I could probably let the bird in the middle go.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I can let the architecture go.
Well, I liked that.
All right. Well, John, what do you say?
I'll keep it for the final. I would let the solo plane go first.
Okay.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
And now it gets harder.
Yeah, these are the 3 that I'm going, ouch, ouch, ouch.
Mm-hmm. I guess I would let go of the architecture out of the 3 of these now.
Agreed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we're all in agreement. Okay, here we go.
Oh boy.
And you can't have 2 winners.
Yeah.
And we can't have a tie?
Nope.
Okay.
This is
The
why I
one on
don't
the-
want your job.
The one on the right is a photographic portrait. The one on the left is an artistic composition.
Exactly.
I really like the pose. The maker, I believe, took care to make sure that front paw was in the right position.
Exactly. Exactly. You're absolutely right, Jim.
That the lighting, it really, there's detail in the tail. I
And the
lean,
ear. The ear.
yeah, and the ears, yeah. I lean toward, I mean, as much as I love the other one, I lean toward the dog because of the composition.
I can't argue with you.
I could go with that too. I mean, I do love that other
Yeah. that's
one on the
good.
left. I think that's a beautiful image.
Yeah, I don't know if the maker is listening, but the one on the left, it just so creative, well done, well executed. But I'm going to have to go with the other judges with the
Yeah.
dog.
That
She is
belongs-
listening. The
that-
maker is
that-
listening and she's
My hat's
appreciating your
off to the
comments.
maker. I just absolutely love
Yeah.
what they did. It just brilliant work.
That belongs in a gallery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so which one are you picking as your winner?
The dog.
The dog.
What was that one called again?
It's called I'm Listening.
Oh, yeah.
Amelia Durham is the maker, so congratulations to
Yeah.
Amelia.
Good job.
Well done.
Thank you, judges, for all of your comments. I'm sure that our image makers are going to learn a lot and have a lot of things that they can do to improve their images. So we appreciate your time and all of your comments. And thank you for joining us.